Have you ever dreamed of catching a 10-pound largemouth bass? Stringers of giant walleye and northern pike? Or big smallmouth bass and muskie? Well, now you can. We found a man who consistently catches trophy-sized fish. And in the next 30 minutes, we're going to show you how he does it.
Hi, I'm Curt Gowdy. Last year, I had the opportunity to host a television show that featured a fishing educator by the name of Don Dickson. Don is one of the most knowledgeable and dynamic speakers in the country and has been teaching on-the-water schools and structured fishing workshops for more than 20 years. During his career, Don has always made the unusual claim that fish are so predictable in their behavior that he can go to any body of water and within a few short hours be catching big fish regardless of species. Well, to be honest, this sounded too good to be true. So we decided to challenge Don to prove his claim in front of our cameras. We sent him to 4 different locations and asked him to catch 4 different species of fish. Now, for those of you who missed it, let me show you what happened. October 28, 1989. Location, Lake Erie. Subject, smallmouth bass. Result, 78 fish. Smallest fish, 2 pounds. Largest fish, 6 pounds, 4 ounces. Total fishing time, 4 hours, 20 minutes. August 17, 1989. Location, Gun Lake. Subject, northern pike. Result, 5 fish. Smallest fish, 10 pounds, 2 ounces. Largest fish, 18 pounds. Total fishing time, 2 hours, 45 minutes. Total weight, 67.5 pounds. November 25th, 1989. Location, Lake Kissimmee, Florida. Subject, largemouth bass. Result, 8 fish. Smallest fish, 3 pounds. Largest fish, 9 pounds, 5 ounces. Total fishing time, 3 hours, 40 minutes. Total weight, 44 pounds. July 7th, 1989. Location, Winnipeg River. Subject, walleye. Result, 12 fish. Smallest, 5 pounds. Largest fish, 9 3/4 pounds. Total fishing time, 2 hours, 10 minutes. Total weight, 92 pounds. Well, as you can see, Don successfully met our challenge, and immediately after that show aired, thousands of fishermen from all over the country called in and ordered Don's tapes. Many of these fishermen also expressed their desire to personally fish with Don so they could see for themselves exactly how he does it. At that point, we decided to invite Don to come back and challenge him to duplicate those amazing catches, only this time to do so with some of his brand new students. Once again, Don accepted our challenge, and during the next 30 minutes, we're going to show you exactly what happened.
As a result of the program which we saw on TV, we got the tape, and as a result of that, we had the chance to go fishing with Don and some other very nice folks in Canada. And although the weather wasn't to Don's liking because it was blue, bright, washed out, and really tough fishing weather, we caught a lot of fish. We caught more fish. In fact, we were the only folks who really caught many fish on the lake, just the ones in Don's group. The rest of the folks were sitting and watching them pull them out. We were throwing back 3 and 4 pounders and keeping 7, 8, 9 pounders. Of course, although I caught a lot of fish, somebody else in my boat caught even more than I did.
Yes, I did. I caught the biggest fish of my life, and it was really fun. We really enjoyed our trip.
First time that I had an opportunity to go fishing with Don, we went walleye fishing. We caught tons of walleye, and I personally kept my 6 fish I was allowed. The smallest one was 7.5. The largest 2 were 9 3/4 pounds. It was just totally amazing how this guy can put you on to fish. The next time I went fishing with Don, we went bass fishing, and he did it again. No difference. He put me on tons of fish. And what was really amazing about the whole thing is I caught the largest bass of my life.
Don, let me welcome you back to Pro Fishing Challenge.
Thanks, Curt. It's great to be back.
Well, I'm sure our viewers are anxious to know and find out how you caught all those big fish. What are the secrets of your success?
Well, Curt, I don't know if we could really refer to it as a secret, but the real key to fishing success is knowledge. Unfortunately, I've never been able to find a shortcut to catching fish. In other words, we can't just run down to the local tackle shop and buy some new hot, quote, magic lure and expect to go out to our local lake and catch as many fish as we want to. Fishermen have been trying this for years, but it just doesn't work. But on the other hand, there is something we can rely on, and it's our knowledge of a fish. His habits, knowing his instincts, knowing how he's affected by weather and water conditions, his daily and seasonal migration patterns. These are the things that in the end are going to make all the difference. In fact, I think it's safe to say that successful fishing really is no different than any other walk of life. The more knowledgeable we become, the more success we're going to have. It's just that simple.
Understanding that our knowledge of a fish will make us better fishermen, could you be more specific, Don, as to what areas of knowledge you would consider to be the most important?
Well, Curt, if you break successful fishing down to its simplest form, there are really two areas of knowledge that I consider important. First, you have to know how to locate fish. You know, there's an old adage in fishing that goes something like this: you can't catch a fish where he ain't. Now, that statement, I'm sure, is not grammatically correct, but there's certainly a lot of truth in it. So first and foremost, we have to be able to find fish. And then secondly, once you found these fish, then you have to have the physical skills and the ability to actually catch them. And this is what I refer to as the mechanical part of fishing, which really is the easiest part. And simply what I mean by that is learning how to properly present lures by both casting and trolling. So once you learn these two important areas, you're going to have success. First, learn how to locate fish, and second, then have the ability to physically catch them.
Well, if you broke it down even further, which of the two is most important?
That's easy, locating the fish by far. In fact, it's the prerequisite for catching fish. And the reason we've got to really understand this is that it's a scientific fact most all water has no fish most of the time. So theoretically, you could be the best caster or the best troller in the world. And you could go out to your lake and make a perfect cast or make a perfect trolling pass in an area where there are no fish and you couldn't catch one. In fact, you could stay there literally until you wore the paint off the lure, but you still couldn't catch one. So learning how to eliminate the unproductive areas in your lake and arrive at the spots where the fish will be is the single most critical part of successful fishing.
The amazing thing to me is we were going along and he would just about say, now watch in just a couple of seconds, there's going to be that fish coming, and wham, and there would be a fish. And it was really I was almost dumbfounded to know that a person couldn't even see the bottom of the lake, but yet he knew where the fish were.
And finally, we caught a fish. And Don said, this is the place, let's anchor down. So we anchored down, and within 2.5 hours, we had caught 87 hybrids, stripers, and sand bass, all mixed. Nice fish, all of them. In one spot, we sat there and caught 87 fish. Now, I've lived on this lake for 10 years. I couldn't believe it.
Tell me, Don, how do you find the exact spots in a lake or river where the fish will be?
The first thing we have to realize is that fish move about in the lake. They move about from both a daily standpoint and also a seasonal standpoint. But here's the good news. We're saved due to the fact that these movements aren't in a haphazard fashion. Fish just can't swim about aimlessly in a lake, but rather they have to have something to follow, and they follow along well-defined routes which they can see. And these routes we refer to as structure. Now, structure by definition is simply the bottom of the lake that's different in some respects from the surrounding bottom area. And learning how to recognize and interpret these areas is probably the single most important aspect of successful fishing.
Learned a lot about structure fishing, and then I came down here and fished in Texas with Don, and had a great time going out there and locating the fish and finding out where the fish were by structure fishing. And it's an enjoyable way to fish. I've never done it before. This is the first time, and it really is a way to find a fish, and I recommend to anybody are really serious about their fishing and really want to get serious about structure fishing, you get out there and take a look at Don Dickson's tapes.
I'm one of the lucky ones who got to fish with Don twice this year. In July, we fished for walleye in the Winnipeg River, and then in September, we went to Lake Erie to fish for smallmouth bass. I remember the first morning we met down at the dock, and I told Don that I was hoping to catch at least one nice walleye on this trip. I think he thought that was pretty funny because he sort of laughed at me and he said, well, don't worry about it, we'll be catching a lot of fish today. It was amazing. Not only did we catch one nice walleye, like the one I asked for, we caught a lot of nice walleye. In fact, the very first fish was 5.5 pounds. And I'm standing in the boat, like flipping out, and Don calmly unhooks the fish and throws it back in the water. I almost had a heart attack when he released it. I at least wanted to have my picture taken with it or something. But during the course of the day, we caught at least a dozen fish like that, at least a dozen 4 or 5 pounders. And then we had 4 fish between 7 and 8 pounds. And to top it off, late in the afternoon, Don was getting ready to go back in, and I said, please, can't we just make one more pass on that good spot? And sure enough, I hooked and I landed a huge walleye. It weighed 11 pounds, 4 ounces. And I'm telling you, that fish fought me, and it looked like a submarine when I finally got it to the boat. Needless to say, I did not allow him to throw that one back. The walleye trip was so great that I thought it would be a hard act to follow, but I was wrong. The bass fishing in Lake Erie was just as exciting. We fished for 2 days, and each day we caught 35 to 40 bass. Now, the amazing thing about that was that they were all big. Most of the fish were around 4 pounds, with a few of them over 5. Then, on the last day, I caught a real trophy. It weighed 6.5 pounds. Is that a hog or what?
Over the last several years, there's been a tremendous interest in tournament fishing. And I'm curious to know whether or not you receive many calls from tournament fishermen.
Yes, just about every day, as a matter of fact. But you know, the tournament fishermen, their goal is really no different than anyone else's. They simply want to catch more and bigger fish. And I've always said it really doesn't matter to me what a fisherman's motivation might be, whether it's to win a bass tournament or catch a stringer of walleye to take home for the dinner table, or maybe to hang a trophy northern pike or muskie on the wall. The keys to success are going to be the same. And as I said before, our key to success is knowledge.
You know, Don and I have been good friends for the past several years, and I feel like he's one of the best kept secrets in the industry. You know, I've gotten my recognition over the years through tournaments and the publicity that involves around tournaments. But Don has remained in the education end of the business, and I don't feel like he's received the recognition that he really deserves. But if the truth was known, I feel like Don's one of the best fishermen in the country.
The secret is catching the fish. You've got to find them first. That's the most important single factor there is. Everyone that fishes the trail knows how to catch fish. As long as you're versatile, you know how to use a worm, a topwater, a jig. That's important too, but locating the fish, which I feel like your tapes has given me the confidence that I could go to just about any lake in the country and find fish.
You know, a funny thing, Curt, there's about 300 pro bass fishermen who fish the BASS tournament trail. And I personally know most of these guys, and I can attest to the fact that they all have about the same mechanical skills. They all know how to flip and pitch and run the crankbaits and fish plastic worms. But the interesting part is at the end of the season, the top 30 point getters are chosen to fish the Bassmaster Classic. And that, of course, is the Super Bowl of tournament fishing. But almost to a man, the same 30 guys are fishing the Classic every year. Now, the question is, since they're all equal in the mechanical skills, how do the same 30 fishermen consistently stay at the top? To me, the answer is obvious. They have more knowledge. They're just doing a better job at finding fish. So, I say, regardless of what our motivation is in fishing, knowledge is the key to success.
We fished this lake for probably 4 hours without catching a fish. And I thought, boy, this is one lake that Don's not going to be able to find any fish on. Well, finally, we end up out in the middle of the lake. Don takes his finger, sticks it down in the water, and says, if there's a fish in this lake, it's going to be right here. And I'm looking around, We're 300-400 yards from the shoreline, and I thought, right, Don, we're going to catch fish out here in the middle of the lake. So we anchored down. First cast I make, 7.5-pound largemouth bass. I couldn't believe it. Here we are in the middle of the lake catching fish. We caught 17 straight fish on 17 casts. We'd gotten to a school of largemouth bass, adult-sized largemouth bass. By the time the smoke had cleared and we'd finished fishing this area, we had 38 largemouth bass, anywhere from 2.5 to 7.5 pounds. Unbelievable.
So the next morning when we went out, not thinking too much about it, and still being a little on the skeptical side, I left the landing net on the shore. You know, any fish that I've ever caught before, you didn't really need a landing net to land them. You could just pick them up with the line and bring them over the side of the boat. And we started fishing, and we started catching fish 6, 8, 10 pounds that now all of a sudden we don't have this landing net for, and we're fighting these fish and trying to wear them out enough so that you can get them close enough to the boat so that you can grab them by hand and get them in the boat. And we just had a great time. It was unbelievable, the size and the amount of fish that we caught, all just in the first morning. It was, then it was after that we went out, days beyond, that we continued to catch fish in this same manner, just using what Don was telling us.
The first time I met Don, I got to go fishing with him and had never caught a walleye larger than 1.5 or 2 pounds in my life. But with his expertise and his teaching, I learned how and also where to fish. And on that first time in fishing with him, I caught a 6.5 and then a 7-pound walleye, which are the largest ones I've ever caught.
Well, as an example, too, the first time I went fishing with Jerry after he had taken the course from Don, we were fishing under a railroad bridge. And I caught an 8-pound walleye, which was at that time the biggest fish that I had ever caught of any kind of fish. So it was really exciting because he taught me the principles that Don had taught Jerry in the course. So not only did Don teach Jerry well enough for himself to go fishing, but well enough to be able to teach me how to fish with the same method.
What was unique about this particular trip was that Don came to our town, he came to our area, and us students got together and we picked the 4 lakes that we were going to do this session on. Don has always made the statement that he can take us to any body of water and within an hour's time put us on the fish. Well, we gathered the students together at the shore of each lake as we started out each day, and we did a little looking at the topographical map of the lake. Don selected some of the areas and we went out, and the end result was, in 4 days of fishing, we caught numbers of fish, and we caught 60, 70, 80 fish on every lake that we went to. This guy is uncanny in the way that he can take you to a body of water, take a look at a map and say, right here is where we're going to catch fish. We're going to go out there, we're going to run through this system, and you do it, and I just never seen anything like it. The guy can pick a spot, he can put you on a fish, and they're there.
Thanksgiving, I went to Florida and fished with Don on one of the shallow Florida lakes. And we caught a bunch of black bass using structure fishing in Florida. And I'd never been to Florida before, never had fished there. Don't think I could have caught a fish yet. And the day we were there fishing, we caught all the fish. The other guys came in, they had nothing. We had big stringers every day for 3 days straight. And everybody was wanting to know how in the heck we caught the fish.
I'd like to thank Don for accepting our challenge and being able to share those success stories, and seeing all those big fish has really been exciting. So on behalf of everyone here at Pro Fishing Challenge and me, Curt Gowdy, so long and good fishing.
I can't imagine a person catching 25 walleye between 4 and 11 pounds or 30 smallmouth bass between 4 and 6 pounds and then attribute it to luck. Nobody is that lucky.
I've been with him. We've always caught fish. It doesn't matter where you're fishing in this country or the species of fish that you're after. Don's techniques work.
I'd have to say this, that in summation, that Don Dickson's probably the most knowledgeable fisherman in the United States.
I'll tell you one thing, this guy flat knows how to catch big fish.
You know, when you go out fishing together, it's just so nice to be able to catch fish instead of sit in the boat all day long and not catch anything, because then there's more time for the other things that you like to do, like exploring the lake or looking at eagles or going shopping.
I believe that Don's new tapes are one of the finest values in fishing today.
You can't spend all day running. You've got to have a game plan before you get out there. Not just in tournament fishing, too, though. I think with children, if you have the time to take yours or somebody else's fishing, if they go out and catch fish, I think they enjoy themselves so much more and really get an interest in it. Whereas if you just take them out there and run all over the lake, it's boring. They don't enjoy it. Probably the bottom line gets right to the point that these tapes have given me the confidence to be able to go and catch fish.
Learned a lot about structure fishing, and then came down here and fished in Texas with Don, and had a great time going out there and locating the fish and finding out where the fish were by structure fishing. And it's an enjoyable way to fish. I've never done it before. This is the first time, and it really is the way to find a fish. And I recommend to anybody who are really serious about their fishing and really want to get serious about structure fishing, you get out there and take a look at Don Dickson's tapes.